Welcome to Prime Edition. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now tonight, I will be taking you in just a few minutes to Bungoma, where we have the by-elections. And in business, we'll tell you more about planting and harvesting the groundnuts in sports. We have Karen Kibet on standby with all the details for you, especially when it comes to football. That and more is coming up shortly, but first, let's have the highlights. Vote tallying underway in Bungoma County following senatorial by-election. Calling it quits, Francis Wanderi resigns as IEBC Commissioner, investigating tribunal to convene a status conference. And it's a downward spiral to 5.5% for Kenya's economy, according to the World Bank. Now, this evening, we first take you to Bungoma, where there has been a vacant seat after Moses Wetangula became moved actually to Parliament, and we are having the by-elections today. So we have a reporter on standby. Wycliffe has the details for us, and we cross over to just find out how the by-elections went today. And even as he is there, some of the people that he has talked to, the mood that is in Bungoma. Wycliffe, good evening.
Good evening to you, Cynthia Nyamai, back in the studio in Nairobi. We are, of course, coming to you live from Bungoma County. Right now, where we are, this is Kibabe University. Remember, we had come to you live during our 7 p.m. bulletin, and by that time, that is when the results from various polling stations was started streaming in here. But then, what is happening right now? If my colleague behind the lens can just basically show you around what's happening here, you can see. That line, that queue is now building up very fast. And remember, this is Kandoi constituency. Kandoi constituency has a total polling stations. That is 242 polling stations that were used for this exercise. That is Kandoi alone. And so far, the polling stations that have been tabulated in there are less than 50. This is just showing you how long this exercise is going to be, and it is possible that the exercise here at Kandoi alone will roll all through to the midnight. And of course, we won't tire up. We'll be standing here and just observing everything that develops and keep our viewers updated. And talking about the mood, we had talked with the voters during the day, and that we had updated our voters about it. But then right now, let me just engage one of the presiding officers briefly to tell us how the exercise was in this particular polling stations. Brother, if you can just stand here, okay. Simamia hapa utazamia pale, utueleze majina yako, tuambie kwamba ulikuwa umesimamia station kituo kipi na hali ilikuwa vipi kule. Jina kwanza.
Naitwa Levi Muyala, nilikuwa nimesimamia kituo cha Kongoli Secondary Room 1, na kazi tumeifanya vizuri, tuliamuka vizuri jinsi tulivyopangwa, tukafika stesheni kawaida, materials tulipewa vizuri, kila kitu tukaipanga, na tukangoja wapigaji kura kwa wakati ambao unafaa, lakini wapigaji kura wamekuwa wachache sana.
Na kuongelea mambo ya pengine idadi ya wapiga kura, kwenye kituo chako kulikuwa na watu wangapi wamejiandikisha?
Kituo changu kulikuwa na 18%. Kati ya wapigaji kura 370 ni wapigaji kura 70 pekee yao ndio walijitokeza katika kushiriki katika uchaguzi huu.
Otherwise, it was peaceful?
We thank God it was a peaceful election, by election.
Thank you so much. Cynthia, that is one of the presiding officers who are manning this election, especially by-election rather, in this Kandoi constituency. Remember, I've told you that is just one of the presiding officers who are manning the 242 polling stations here in Kandoi constituency. Remember, this is Kandoi Kibabii University, the constituency tallying center for Kandoi. After this, we'll head to Mabanga Agricultural Training Center, which is the Bungoma County tallying center. Earlier on, before giving this update, I spoke with Grace Rono. Grace Rono is the returning officer for Bungoma County, and she told me that there is not much going on at the tallying center right now, and then she's expecting activities to kickstart at around probably by midnight. That is when results from the 9 constituencies constituting this particular county will start streaming in. Thereafter, they will tabulate and collate, and from that, they will be able to announce the winner for this particular seat, who will be able to replace, to take over from Moses Wetangula. Like I've told you, the queue continues to build up. There's a queue of presiding officers bringing in results from the various polling stations here in Kandoi. This is reminiscent of what is happening in all the other 8 sub-counties. Thereafter, we will head to the county tallying center, after which we will be able to get who is the winner for this contest. And that is probably something that is going to roll all through the night long until tomorrow morning. And like I've said, we will keep our voters updated, and of course we know for sure that Kenya is indeed watching. Right now, let me just hand it back to you in the studio, Cynthia Nyamai, for more updates regarding other stories.
Thank you so much, Wycliffe. It's definitely going to be a long night for him as he visits the various tallying centers. But that is good for you, because we will keep you updated on the by-elections in Bungoma. Now, moving on, Francis Wanderi has resigned from the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Wanderi becomes the 3rd commissioner to call it quits at the electoral body, just months after fallout with IEBC chairman Wafula Chebukati. His departure comes just hours before a tribunal formed to investigate him, and 3 other commissioners convenes a status conference.
In his letter to the President, Commissioner Wanderi said his resignation has been necessitated by undue and unwarranted public lynching based on falsified information, tainting his reputation and integrity. Wanderi denies any wrongdoing as alleged in petitions tabled in Parliament, seeking his removal from office. Wanderi and 3 other commissioners were suspended by the President and a tribunal established to investigate their conduct in the August presidential elections. His resignation comes after Juliana Cherera and Justice Wangaya called it quits at the commission. On Friday, the Agri Muchelule-led tribunal is expected to convene a status conference where it will outline its calendar.
Well, we'll definitely keep you updated on tomorrow's tribunal meeting. Now, the government will work with Treasury institutions to forge a pathway for Kenya to deepen its competitive technical capacity. President William Ruto says the move will boost the number of competent human resources and spur the country's economic growth. He, at the same time, reiterated the government's intention of ensuring financial stability of higher learning institutions. Zainab Zaid reports the president has also promised to allocate funds for students pursuing diploma courses in technical and vocational training institutions.
Established through the elevation of the Kenya Polytechnic University College to full university status, Technical University of Kenya has a total of 17,000 students. During the groundbreaking ceremony for the new tuition blocks at the Technical University of Kenya, President William Ruto affirmed the critical role played by the university in producing human capital for local and international markets.
Presence at this event signals the government's readiness to partner with tertiary institutions and specialty vets to forge a clear pathway for Kenya to deepen its competitive technical capacity, increase the number of highly skilled technical personnel, and assume global leadership in the transformational innovations and build an efficient engine to power growth in every sector of our economy.
The head of state stating that the government was in consultation with other stakeholders in a bid to financially empower institutions of higher learning through innovation and research.
My administration is going to ensure that we create a framework that makes it possible for every university to admit students that the government of Kenya can support. And I am happy that we have received recommendations from different stakeholders, from vice chancellors, from the Association of Students, and the recommendations that have been made are practical and they are workable.
Later, President Ruto left the city for a tour of Western Kenya region. His first stop was at Kakamega County, where he visited Kakamega County Teaching and Referral Hospital. He assured the residents of the government's intent to operationalize Mumias Sugar Company.
Madeni yote serikali ya Kenya italipa. Ndio tuondoe kwanza shida ya madeni. We are going to pay the debts ya hiyo kampuni yenu na hata ile ya kule chini ya Nzoia. Alafu jambo la pili, tutatafuta mwekezaji na tutakubaliana na yeye beforehand ya kwamba tunataka kila mwezi alipe watu ya Kakamega milioni 100 every month.
It is here that the president said the government is going to rectify the ILO Convention 190 of 2021 to ensure elimination of gender-based violence against women and children. The head of state is on Friday expected to inspect several development projects in the area.
The president has emphasized on the need to nurture innovation across the country in order to assist his government in achieving the bottom-up economic policy. For Prime Edition, I'm Zainab Said.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has arrived in Luanda, Angola to attend the Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Organization African, Caribbean and Pacific States, that is the OACPS. During the 4-day conference, the Deputy President is expected to give a keynote address highlighting key milestones achieved during Kenya's 2-year tenure at the helm of the organization before handing over the OACPS presidency at the 10th Summit on behalf of President William Ruto.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is in Luanda, Angola to lead Kenya's delegation at the Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States, OACPS. The Deputy President, who left the country on Thursday, will give the keynote address highlighting key milestones achieved during Kenya's 2-year tenure at the helm of the organization. The speech will be during the opening session on Friday, to be led by Angolan President Juan Manuel Gonzalez Lorenzo, whose country will take over the summit's leadership. The Deputy President will also lead discussion on building resilience to climate change, where he is expected to highlight the impact of global warming and climate change and make a call on developed countries to support their third world counterparts in mitigating further negative effects. Gachagua is also expected to hold bilateral engagements with the European Union President on the Economic Partnership Agreement on Strategic Partnership. Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leadership has called off their parallel Jamhuri Day celebrations that were set to be held at Jacaranda grounds on Monday next week. National Assembly Minority Leader Opiyo Wandayi says the forum shall resume in the coming days as part of the coalition strategy to liberate Kenyans from what he termed as bad leadership. Commitment to keeping President William Ruto's administration in check in order to ensure it delivers on its promises to Kenyans.
The cancellation of this parallel Jamhuri Day meeting has been occasioned by upcoming engagements that will keep the party's top leaders away in the run-up to Jamhuri Day and a few days after. Now, those engagements were awaiting confirmation at the time the announcement of the parallel celebrations were made. But since the confirmation has now been made, we have therefore to clarify that our planned Jamhuri Day celebration at Jacaranda grounds in Embakasi East constituency have been cancelled.
A civil society organization has filed a petition in court challenging the constitutionality of the Hustler Fund. Through lawyers Bernard Okello and Kevin Doho Masharia, Operation Linda Utaguzi wants the court to freeze all transactions involving the fund until there is more clarity about issues such as the management of the fund and the source of monies being loaned to Kenyans.
Barely 10 days after the launch of the Hustler Fund, members of Operation Linda Ugatuzi have moved to court questioning the legality of the initiative.
But we have put a petition in court stating that you have no legal obligation to pay because the fund has not legally complied. So you have no legal obligations to comply.
Operation Linda Ugatuzi wants the court to, among others, issue conservatory orders, suspending further disbursement of funds, direct the Attorney General to provide information about the source of the funds, issue temporary orders of stay against mobile service provider and financial institutions involved in the fund, compelling them to stop sharing personal information of the subscribers and of customers with a treasury.
Because we don't know what this money is coming from. Don't you see there's a room for wash to come in, whereby someone can bring in dirty money through the Hustler Fund, lend it to you, then you pay back, then they clean the money.
Meanwhile, Ahmed Rashid, the policeman at the center of a murder investigation, will take plea on the 26th of January 2023. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority had obtained summons against Rashid for the murder of Jamal Mohammed and Mohammed Dair Khair. The going on has attracted debate, with opinion divided as to whether the policeman should be prosecuted.
As family representatives, we are keen to ensure that the suspect takes plea.
These are the few gallant Kenyans who are supposed to be rewarded by His Excellency the President on the 12th of December during the national celebrations.
I mean, if we are taking every officer that is diligently serving his duty in this country to court, then how will the other police officers work?
Sisi jana hata bado lala wakora imezidi. Sisi tunaomba serikali Ahmed Rashid awajiriwe.
Vijana wanatupiga, kisu imeanza, wizi imeanza. Sasa hatuna usalama. Kutokea dakika hii tutalala kwa barabara, tufanye maandamano ama kuna askari wanaweza leta kama Rashid.
Kama Amerika anachunga askari, kama kila mali anachunga askari, kama askari anaisikiwa, nani anasaidia?
Meanwhile, a presiding officer has told the court that chaos erupted at one of the polling stations in Lagdera constituency, hindering voters from casting the ballots. The case, which is currently before Judge Murage Thande, was lodged by one Abbas Ibrahim Kafo, who is seeking the nullification of the election of Abdikadir Mohammed. Finally, the prosecution has closed its case against former Commissioner of Lands Wilson Gashanja and two other senior Lands Ministry officers of irregular allotment of 30 million shillings public land to private individuals in Kwale County in 1994. The investigating officer Samuel Murage gave his evidence in chief, stating how Gashanja, former Coast Provincial Lands Officer Zablon Mabea and former Kwale District Physical Planner Jabu Salim Mohammed approved an allotment allotment of the beach access road in favor of former Kwale Senator, the late Boy Juma Boy. The case has been scheduled for mention on the 16th of January 2023, when court will confirm the date of filing submissions by parties. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
Karibuni sana, karibuni. Niwauzie?
Ugali matumbo batia mimi.
Ugali matumbo! Na wewe? Ipe wali maragwe. Wali? Wewe, mchele madando hapo. Na wewe?
Nilikuwa nataka kaomena na kadoma.
Customer, usijali chakula yako tutakutengenezea kwa ajili yako tu.
Maisha yako, mapendeleo yako. Tunukiwa na Safaricom. Chagua bei yako ya kupigia simu au data. Piga *444# au utembelee My Safaricom app upate deal poa ya kupiga simu, uongee zaidi au ubrowse zaidi.
Nataka chapati na crips.
Mala sausage. Nataka ugali na
Kupata rudisha pesa za Masai kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza *811 *962#.
Iko mtu nasirisha mimi sana. Nasikia? Sema okay? Kama semi achukui, mimi napeleka pesa benki. Nafika benki, napatia pesa, alafu mtu mwingine nakuja na sema nataka loan, napatiwa ile pesa. Sasa mimi nashinda. Kwani mimi naleta pesa yangu wewe napatia mtu mwingine?
Kupata rudisha pesa za Masai, bonyeza *811 *962#. *811 *962#.
Chuma ya dosi ni chuma ya nguvu. Ikisimama kwa building, hakuna kitu baya ita happen kwa hiyo building.
Chuma ndio nyumba. Nyumba zetu zote tunatumianga chuma ya dosi.
Doshi Steel, chuma ya nguvu.
Cheza loto, shinda pesa moto.
Nilikuwa najaribu tu nione. So jana venye nilipigiwa simu, ndio nilijua kweli loto moto ni ya ukweli. Nilitumia pay bill 757070 account loto star alafu nambari ya simu. Kwa siku nilikuwa nacheza karibu mara 8 hivi. Natumia shilingi karibu 300. Jana ndio nimecheza zaidi usiku. Niliambia Mungu asante sana kwa sababu amenitoa kwa shida 1 2 3. Hiyo pesa kitu ya kwanza ni kumtolea Mungu shukrani. Fungu la 10 nifanye 1 2 3 kwa nyumba yangu. Loto moto ni ya ukweli. Ukiwa na nafasi, ukiwa na pesa, cheza loto moto ni ya ukweli anytime. Naamini tena mtarudi hapa tu. Asante.
Shinda pesa moto moto.
Welcome back. Now, members of the National Assembly have unanimously approved 7 nominees to the Commission on Revenue Allocation. In a special sitting convened by Speaker Moses Wetangula to consider the Finance Committee report on the nominees, MPs endorsed the committee recommendations for their approval, urging the nominees to come up with an appropriate formula for the sharing of resources that is favorable to all Kenyans.
A few days into the long recess, members of the National Assembly found themselves yet again in the chamber following the gazettement of a special sitting to consider the report by the Departmental Committee on Finance and Planning on 7 member nominees set to serve in the Commission for Revenue Allocation. MPs unanimously endorsing the nominees and further urging them to execute their mandate with integrity pursuant to Article 203 of the Constitution on revenue allocation.
As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Consequently, Benedict Muasia Mutiso, Jonas Vincent Kuko, Isabel Nyambura Wayaki, and Hadija Juma from the ruling Kenya Kwanza, and Wilfred Koikamet, George Jolango Midiwo, and Fatma Gedi, who were nominated by the opposition as Azimio la Umoja One Kenya, are set to assume office before the expiry of the term of the current office holders, whose tenure ends on 31st of December 2022.
Mr. Speaker, all the 7 nominees were therefore able to establish that they met the requirements of the Constitution in terms of their academic qualification, their academic performance, and pertaining to Chapter 6 of the Constitution, we were able to receive information from all the government agencies, including the DCI, EACC, and all those others, confirming their suitability to be commissioners with the Commission of Revenue Allocation.
Our committee recommended them to this House for approval, and that is why we are asking this House to support the report, approve the nominees, and let us release them, Mr. Speaker, to go and start settling, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Commission of Revenue Allocation is a very important institution. I think I would say the climax of the 2010 Constitution lies around here, Mr. Speaker, because it is all about sharing of resources, Mr. Speaker, between the national government and the county government, Mr. Speaker.
I want to say this. As a House, Honorable Speaker, we have been using CRA reports to debate our Division of Revenue Bill. And my experience, Honorable Speaker, is that this particular commission, Honorable Speaker, we have been facing challenges with their reports. And more so because when it comes to sharing revenue, Honorable Speaker, at times we have allowed politics to take the front row.
These are Kenyans, including those other 4, who I believe are going to take CRA to the next level. And CRA is a commission with an onerous responsibility under the Constitution. Under the Constitution. Now, Speaker, under Article 203, the issue on the allocation of these revenues between the 2 levels of government is so critical. And it's important that we don't have a vacuum.
Once in office, the committee, which is key in determining the basis for the equitable sharing of revenue raised by the national government, shall also make recommendations on other matters concerning the financing of county governments as required by the Constitution. For Prime Edition, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Well, it's now time for business, and we start with not very good news, where the economy is actually projected to slow down by 5.5% this year, up from 7.5% recorded last year, due to obviously adverse effects of the drought, and there's also high inflation and a global downturn in economic activities. This is according also to the latest World Bank projection that indicates that demand for horticulture and tourist arrivals are likely to reduce next year, especially from key source markets whose economies are facing challenges.
The economy rebounded from 0.8% in 2020 to 7.5% last year, powered by a rebound from the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. During the first 6 months of this year, the economy is estimated to have expanded 6%, powered by broad-based increases in the services sector. The agriculture sector contracted by 1.5% during this period, and its poor performance pulled back GDP growth by 0.3 percentage points. Based on this, and in addition to the ravaging drought, high fuel and commodity prices, as well as pressure on the global economy, the World Bank predicts Kenya's economic growth this year to slow to 5.5%.
With the drought, we know that agriculture as a major sector of the economy has contracted in the first half of the year, and we are all aware of the many millions of people who are now suffering severe food insecurity.
The World Bank projects that the situation is likely to worsen next year year, as the effect of slowing economic activity in some countries will affect forex inflows, horticultural exports and tourist arrivals in Kenya.
At the global level, we are looking at the tightening financial conditions which are constraining access to finance, not just in Kenya but in many other emerging economies. We're also looking at the lower anticipated growth in Europe, which could undercut recovery in exports and tourism. And again, the prolonged war in Ukraine, which could increase Kenya's import bill.
Due to the strong dollar, the exchange rate to the Kenya shilling, similar to world currencies, has weakened, but strengthened against other major international currencies. The current account deficit was generally stable at 5.4% of GDP in the 12 months to September this year.
The government plans to prioritize creation of jobs, equitable distribution of state resources, and expansion of the tax base to safeguard against any impending economic shocks.
The economic turnaround program will seek to increase investments in at least 5 sectors envisaged to have the most significant impact on the economy as well as on household welfare.
The World Bank projects Kenya's economic growth to be at 5.3% in 2024, supported by increased private investments. Alanauko, Prime Edition.
Now, cotton farmers are alarmed about the regional shortage of GMO cotton seeds and fear that this could adversely affect the textile industry. The Society for Biotech Farmers of Kenya Chair Daniel Mugo says most gineries are operating below capacity, with some forced to close down due to insufficient cotton seeds that is affecting lint production, despite farmers' willingness to grow the high-yielding GMO cotton.
Out of 22 cotton gineries across the country, only 5 are currently functional due to insufficient cotton lint for processing. GMO cotton farmers say some regions across the country do not have access to the BT cotton seed variety, which is of superior quality and is pest resistant, and as such, cotton farmers are now turning to other alternative crops.
Before, cotton subsector was the second employer from the civil service. And we had 22 journalists. Currently, there are less than 5 journalists. Others were closed down because of lack of seed cotton or raw materials.
So that we can sustainably address raw production challenges with our staple crop.
Farmers are seeking assurances from the government on the steady supply of GMO cotton seeds in the wake of the High Court ruling about importation and use of GMOs in Kenya, which is negatively affecting seed supply.
A well-tended BT cotton is about 3 times more productive than the conventional varieties. Growing this cotton has significantly reduced the use of pesticides by about 3 times, thus reducing the cost of production.
The production of genetically modified crops is cheap than the conventional crop, and it is not all that costly.
Farmers note that the problems may be stemming from poor farmer engagement in policy-making avenues and now want the Ministry of Agriculture to provide an avenue for biotech farmer representation in the leadership of the proposed Fiber Crops Authority. In addition, the farmers have highlighted the need to revamp extension services to reach more farmers on the best agronomist practices for optimum harvest to reduce the number of farmers exiting the cotton farming scene.
To have a slot in the Fiber Crop Authority for the farmers' representation in the Board of Authority in Republic of Kenya.
Hibak Said for Prime Edition.
Welcome to the Living Room Stadium. It's the FIFA World Cup. The match is about to start. Food and drink ready. There's no space left for anyone. Come on, get your lucky chair. Take your usual spot. Even the puppy has one. It's preparation time. You can feel the tension in the air. And do you have everything you need to believe?
Feel the excitement. Relish every moment. Get 1.5 GB at 50 bob. Valid for 3 hours. Furahia futa. Dial *544#. Make Chaguo smarter na Airtel, the most affordable network.
Huku ulimwengu ukiendelea kutazama kombe la dunia nchini Qatar, stesheni yako ipendayo ya Pwani FM inakualika katika tamasha ya Masha Burudani mjini Mombasa. Hafla hii itakuwa mashabiki pia watakutana na watangazaji wanaowaenzi wa Pwani FM. Pwani FM 103.1 FM Mombasa, tafrija ya kipwani.
Welcome back. Now, I'd highlighted this story earlier on. I love this story where groundnuts farming is taking root in Kenya, and you won't believe where. In Turkana County, with the Katilu irrigation scheme expected to produce 2.7 tons of the commodity. The county is positioning itself as the groundnuts production hub in Kenya, with plans to put up 18,000 hectares under groundnut farming. The project being undertaken by the National Irrigation Board and Egerton University will see the county sell groundnuts worth 2.5 billion shillings annually by 2025.
Last year, Turkana County unveiled the groundnut production strategy 2022-2027 with the aim of increasing groundnuts production in the arid county.
The farmers have been trained, the CBS have been trained, the county staff doing extension have also been trained on the same, and we have also gone a step further in providing post-harvest management equipment and materials such as tarpaulins and pallets to enable the storage of these crops.
The county has partnered with Food and Agriculture Organization, Egerton University and the National Irrigation Board to boost productivity, marketing and accelerate food and nutrition security, employment creation and improve incomes.
Faida hii njugu tumeonja pesa yake, tumepata pesa, tumefanyia kazi zetu, hata tumelipa watoto shule, hata tumenunua chakula nyumbani. Sasa hii njugu imetusaidia, hata watoto wetu hawako kwa plan pisa hii.
According to Deborah Akru, one of the beneficiaries, the initiative is a big boost to their income, with a kilo retailing at 72 shillings in the local market.
We are doing this through irrigated agriculture, where we are channeling our irrigation water from River Tarkwet to supply over 1,500 acres.
Exporters will be required to fill phytosanitary certification online as the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service automates its service to rein in a forgery of export documents. KEFI's Managing Director Theophilus Mudhui says automation would help reduce the number of checks and charges that Kenyan consignments are subjected to in the international market.
On average, 130 Kenyan horticulture shipments are intercepted annually in the international market on account of forged documentation, destruction and loss of phytosanitary documentation. The interceptions have cost farmers earnings and led to increased charges for extra checks. The Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service has automated its phytosanitary services to ease the certification process.
We have had challenges where they are fraud. People have defaced the phytosanitary certificate and has led to our produce being intercepted at the destination market. And this is the reason why we came up with this innovation to be able to address that challenge.
This is expected to drastically reduce the number of interceptions of Kenya horticulture shipments.
We have targeting 99% compliance, where we are going to eradicate the issue of non-compliance due to forgeries and loss of documentation. We are seeing that cost or that savings going to the benefit of the farmer.
I have many ambitions of increasing your exports. There is a moment where you need this electronic certification.
The 300,000 bags of subsidized fertilizer that the government plans to import will be distributed through the e-voucher system as plans to digitize agriculture extension services starts in earnest.
The President gave a directive on Friday last week to us to digitalize the distribution of fertilizer, beginning with this season of long grains, and we have started that process.
The digitization program will also be extended to issuance of export permits as the government seeks to synchronize agriculture services operations. Benson Droba reporting for Prime Edition.
Tens of hippos, exotic and local birds blend at Gedeng Camp in Kilifi County, a point where the river Sabaki meets the Indian Ocean, offering you unique views. Gedeng Camp is a place to be if you are into wildlife and adrenaline activities such as boating, outdoor picnics and conservation tourism in a spectacular getaway, as Irene Muchuma Odim highlights on this week's episode of Magical Scenes.
Welcome to Gedeng Camp.
Unachemsha, unakunywa, kiino inaacha kuuma ama joints.
Maybe you're wondering why the name Gedeng, so the word is coined as an exclamation. You see, the founder of this tourist destination says in 2019, when a team including of himself was shooting an Italian film, Tolo Tolo, they were aware of hippos' whereabouts in the area, so any move they made, they were on alert. Then one day, they spotted a hippo close to them while in action, and in a surprise gesture, one of the actors said, "Gedeng." And to date, the camp is known by this said name. Gedeng Camp borders River Sabaki, where the hippos swim in the day and graze along the river at night. There are about 70 hippos which reside here.
Here is the second excursion, where it is a short excursion from the town. It's 10 minutes just from the city center, and they can come and see the family of hippos here.
Hippos are very territorial wildlife. They mark their territories by flagging off poop on the branches of the trees. While on a visit, you are advised to run to a tree in case a hippo charges at you.
We also have a place where we don't have a loud music because we have the sounds of the birds, the sounds of the hippos crawling. And these are the people who want to mix and mingle with nature. That's why they come here and relax. It's a place for healing. You come and relax and mingle with nature.
River Sabaki is also home to bird life, from flamingos to exotic birds, which travel from as far as Austria and Madagascar.
What is unique about where we are now? We find ourselves at the end of Athi River, and Athi River has three names, which is at the top in Nairobi, they call it the Athi River. In the middle, in Voi, they call it the Galana River. Down here at Sabaki is the Sabaki estuary. Now, in the estuary is where all the food residue from up country, the topsoil, the food, come all the way and is deposited here. When it is deposited here, what happens is that there is a lot of food, which means the fish come here to do breeding, and not only the fish, these fish attract lots of different bird species. So this is a very important and unique bird breeding area. Now, we have more than 180 different species identified in a day, and this is where people from all over the world come and they Google and see that in this spot.
In this part of Malindi, there's adding a feather to the attraction sites in this part of the country. In a couple of years, these mangroves that have just been planted will resemble those ones from the other end, thus giving you a reason to be in Malindi. The vegetation would preserve the surrounding forest covers from being submerged by waters, thus protecting life underwater and enhance conservation tourism.
We all need to come and see for ourselves, because only by seeing do we believe, and then we realize sometimes we don't even know much. So by coming here, we get to learn so much. So I'd say as many of us that can come, let's come and have our lives changed.
It's my first time to be at the bank of Sabaki River. I have seen wonders here. It's a very nice place.
The festive season is here. Just in case you are looking for a daytime getaway in Malindi, Camp Gedang is an absolute treasure. Irene Mchuma Udim, Magical Sense in the county of Kilifi.
Make transactions anywhere in the world with the NCBA Visa card and stand a chance to win big. Join the FIFA World Cup 2022 when you win an all-expenses-paid trip for you and your +1 to watch 2 games. Or win exciting weekly prizes that will make your FIFA viewing experience super duper. All it takes is a swipe or a tap to pay 2,000 Kenya shillings or more with your NCBA Visa debit or credit card. The more you swipe or tap to pay, the higher your chances of winning with 1 point for every 2,000 Kenya shillings spent. Don't miss out. NCBA. Go for it.
Feel the excitement. Relish every moment. Get 1.5 GB at 50 bob, valid for 3 hours. Furahia futa. Dial *544#. Make Chaguo smarter na Airtel, the most affordable network.
On business. Now, the government should increase investments in income-generating activities and training to diversify skills for agro-pastoral communities to help maximize development. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, says in order to achieve the sustainable development goals in agro-pastoral communities, investments should be stepped up to facilitate seamless cross-border offer livelihood options and directly strengthen family and social cultural bonds.
According to a report by the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and Africa Borderland Center, borderland agro-pastoralists need laws, policies, budgets, and actions from local governments, national authorities, regional organizations, and development partners to maximize their developmental potential. National governments have therefore been challenged to address conflict and security threats to facilitate investments focusing on value and supply chain development, digital financial inclusion, and investment in climate resilient and smart infrastructure. The report is based on direct testimonies from over 1,042 agro-pastoralists living in Burkina Faso, Ethiopia, Kenya, Mali, Nigeria, South Sudan, and Uganda. It comes at a time when the socio-economic impact of COVID-19, drought, and famine are having devastating effects on agro-pastoralist livelihoods, most of whom are in Africa's arid and semi-arid lands.
All the stakeholders, in one word, they agreed that investment on the productivity of agro-pastoralists in Africa borderland can really enhance the socio-economic integration of the entire Africa. Africa Union was present, all UN families were there, governments were there, the borderland community themselves, agro-pastoralists were there.
UNDP says it is supporting the realization of borderland agro-pastoralist needs by listening, learning, and curating solutions to their development challenges. The report indicates that conflict and security threats significantly impact borderland communities. Frederick Muki for Prime Edition.
A very good evening. I do hope you're holding up well. Let's now take a look at what's making headlines. In the world of sports, my name is Karen Kibet. Now, former Harambee Stars captain Victor Wanyama has rescinded his decision to retire and will now be available for the national team in the upcoming international assignments. The combative midfielder announced he was retiring from the national team in September 2021 after serving for 14 years. However, after meeting with the newly appointed Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba, Wanyama, who is currently a free agent, has been convinced to reconsider his 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. JKT women handball team humbled Tanzania's Ngome 18-17 in the ongoing East and Central Africa Handball Championship in Zanzibar. Both teams started the match on a high note, missing several chances, but Ngome took an early lead of 13-10 in the breather. In the second half, JKT corrected their mistakes, registering a 18-17 comeback win. Following the win, JKT are now placed third in the standings with 2 points. 2 points between Nairobi Water, who are top. In the men's category, Ngome registered a comfortable 28-23 win over Nyuki to go level on points with leaders NCPB, who have 4 points. The FIFA World Cup quarter-final matches get underway on Friday with 2 games on the card. 5-time World Cup champions and this year's title favourites Brazil will take on 2018 runners-up Croatia at the Education City Stadium, while Argentina take on Netherlands.
Plenty to pick out. Vinicius Junior in space.
Brazil booked their spot in the semis after a 4-1 win over South Korea, while Croatia secured a 4-2 penalty shootout win over Japan. Croatia will be looking forward to revenge their 2018 defeat by Brazil, while the Samba Boys are aiming to secure a win to keep their title hopes alive. In another match, 2010 FIFA World Cup runners-up Netherlands will be looking forward to secure a win when they take on Argentina. Netherlands have had a smooth run this season, while Argentina are hunting the title after being named favourites alongside Brazil. The 2022 FIFA World Cup matches are live on KBC Channel 1 and all affiliate KBC radio stations.
FIFA President Gianni Infantino has hailed the opening stages of the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 as the best ever, following dramatic matches and record-breaking attendances across all 8 groups. Speaking as the competition enters the quarter-final stage, Infantino praised the quality of football involving the 32 teams that competed in the group stages.
2.5 million people in the streets of Doha and a few 100,000 every day in the stadiums, all together, cheering together, supporting their teams. Fantastic atmosphere, great goals, incredible excitement, surprises, small teams beating big teams. Well, there are no more small teams and no more big teams. The level is very, very equal. For the first time as well, national teams from all continents going to the knockout phase for the first time in history. This shows that football is really becoming truly global.
And Morocco get into the last stage for the very first time in history. And a celebration is in the offing.
The quarterfinals take center stage tomorrow, and KBC Channel 1 will be airing live and exclusive the first quarterfinal match pitting Croatia and Brazil. Many Kenyans have taken to social media to say that it will be Embasava versus City Hopper. I'll be supporting City Hopper Brazil. I do hope they advanced to the next stage. That's all we had for you right here at the KBC Sports Desk. I'll see you tomorrow for more sports news, and don't forget that before the Croatia and Brazil match, our able team will be analyzing all the quarterfinal matches before the quarterfinals begin. Have yourself a peaceful night. My colleague Cynthia Nyamai is on the other side of the bulletin waiting for you. Cynthia?
Thank you so much, Karen. She's always been consistent. It's Brazil for her. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. And from Benson Opio, he says he enjoyed tonight's story, especially on groundnuts farming, and that's a business he's been thinking of. We're so happy that we were able to inform you a little bit more about that business venture. Now, from me and the rest of the team, we do want to wish you a very good night.
Jumapili hii kwenye runinga ya KBC, ungana naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu kuanzia saa 1 hadi saa 2 asubuhi.
Ningetaka nikwambie, our Jehovah God, because the Bible says he is the same yesterday, today and forevermore. He is able to take you to a place of abundance. He is able to take you to Rehoboth in the name of Jesus Christ.
Kipindi ni neno la neema, ukiletewa naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu. Usikose.
Chuma ya dosi ni chuma ya nguvu. Ikisimama kwa building, hakuna kitu baya ita happen kwa hiyo building.
Chuma ndio nyumba. Nyumba zetu zote tunatumianga chuma ya dosi.
Doshi Steel, chuma ya nguvu. Make transactions anywhere in the world with the NCBA Visa card and stand a chance to win big. Join the FIFA World Cup 2022 when you win an all-expenses-paid trip for you and your +1 to watch 2 games. Or win exciting weekly prizes that will make your FIFA viewing experience super duper. All it takes is a swipe or a tap to pay 2,000 Kenya shillings or more with your NCBA Visa debit or credit card. The more you swipe or tap to pay, the higher your chances of winning with 1 point for every 2,000 Kenya shillings spent. Don't miss out. NCBA. Go for it.
Do you know you stand the risk of disconnection if you have not updated your SIM registration details? Dial *106# to check your SIM registration status. If your details are not updated, dial *106# and select option 2 to get the self-update link. You will be required to upload your original ID image copy, both front and back. Alternatively, you can visit the nearest Airtel outlet. Remember, you only have until December 15th, 2022 to comply. This is a SIM regulation requirement as per the Communications Authority of Kenya. Airtel, the most affordable network.
Defender just going a little bit too heavy. You can see him stomping onto the top of Hakimi's boots. There it is again. The pain when those studs stomp onto the top of your foot is usually immense. The yellow card. Johnny has it on the left side. Is marked by 2 pairs of red stockings. He will be dispossessed.
Well, Danny playing very clever. He looked up and he didn't see any blue shirt in the box.
And answer me the last time. Side of the prayers should be the person who's answering the prayers listen to. Both sides are praying. This is ruled as a foul. She's going to be given to Spade. Says.
There, it's another Thursday. Kama kawaida, sherehe ni sheria, and we are already here at KBC Channel 1, hashtag ni pop culture. The name is Adhiambo, it is spelled with a Y, and the show begins right away. But before we set that stage, just see who I have on studio. Porsche. The Porsche is here.
Porsche.
Like the Porsche.
Kabisa.
Like Porsche.
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 Yes.
I'm saying it right.
Yes, very right.
Yes. Na kama kawaida, I'm still learning to get my groove with Mrs. Kenya, Peggy Rua.
When you just said Porsche, I was thinking P squared.
Oh, so leo niko na peace. I just saw what you did, right? I saw what you did right there. So yes, you are outgunned wherever you are. Get your popcorn, get your tea, kama kawaida. Let us discuss this. But before that, we set this stage. Do not go too far because the next 1 hour, tuko hapa, kama kawa. Well, yes, and that has been it. The most interesting bit is that every time, every week we wake up, there is somebody to talk about, opinion to have, people to discuss, but we do not discuss people without having facts and figures. Remember that hapa, tunakuambia facts, free, for free. Lakini hata kama ni hivyo. We prefer foreign artists. Hapa Kenya ukiingia club, na the story of clubs zimekuwa kadhaa. It's like when you go there, you only listen to, you don't get Kenyan music. Mtuka wewe, I know you club. Okay, kubali tu.
Tuseme on air.
Tuseme kando.
Church.
No, for real. There has been the whole issue of the Kenyan, first of all, the DJs, there have been people saying they're not playing Kenyan music. But what is this thing? What is our fixation with other artists? And can we remedy it? Maybe let me begin with you, Mrs. Kenya, now that you are representing us.
For me, I think it's all about culture and tradition. Because when we listen to music from different artists of different countries, South Africa, they have this original beat that they pick from their culture, which makes their music amazing. And then we have Tanzania. They just have this culture of politeness and tenderness. And that's what they use in their music. But as Kenya, ish. Let me tell you something.
Okay, there's a problem with the doo-doo.
I want, personally, good music is music, yes, you can listen to the club and dance to, and you can also listen to at home, and it can relax you. But if all we are producing is pop music, music that's popping, music that we can't listen in our houses, then what kind of music are we producing? Because I want to be able to be motivated by music. Music that has a message to the people, or something that can console me if I'm going through a rough patch, or something that can uplift me if I'm going through a happy moment. But then our music, I don't know where to begin.
Hold the thought.
I disagree. I disagree because I believe that we have a very creative economy in Kenya, and we have very creative people. And as she talked about culture and the way people are, we all have our own way how we do things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that what I'm saying is that the Kenyan kind of music, we need to support artists. If we don't support them and tell them, you know what, we are going to listen to your music, how are they going to improve?
My question is...
No, hold on.
Yes.
Support.
Yes.
Keyword. Wewe, you have a question. Lakini you're saying support. Hii support ni underline. Support ni aje? Ya kuwabeba, kuwaweka turaje.
Tunafaa kuwasikiza.
Sina shida na support. I don't have a problem with support. I support if the music is good. We have Sauti Sol. We have Otile Brown. We have amazing artists in Kenya who we listen to their music. But let me tell you, my question is, the music that we produce, can I listen to that music with my son, with my family seated? Can I listen to that music with my father, with my mother seated together? Can we listen to that music together?
Just remove your father from the equation. Kila mtu akae kando.
We listen to Zuchu. Everybody, when you go to TikTok, a 13-year-old is saying, what is it called?
Sukari.
Yeah, not even Sukari. This song.
You see,
also the message.
Also the message. Okay, let me.
No, we are just trying to. We are vilifying our own while we are.
I am not, because I'm saying Zuchu has the culture of Tarab. And you're being from the coastal, I listen to Tarab. Tarab has, we normally call mafumbo, matusi inside the song. But it has an in-depth hidden meaning. And Zuchu has that culture. And even coastal artists, they have that Tarab culture that they can use and sing. But very few of them are using that to make it.
So are we justified then when we say that we are consuming more of foreign artists, and we are justified because according to you, you're saying ni sawa?
It is not, it is, sijasema ni sawa. I'm just saying we should create music that we can be able to listen to. Because Mimi, I want to listen to Kenyan music. I want to be able to nurture a culture whereby we can listen to Kenyan music as a family. Where I can listen to Kenyan music and be happy about it. At the club, at home. You see? And I can sing about it. Even at weddings, we listen to it. But then, I'll give you a good example. You see music like, for example, we have Mukangolo and other music. We listen to it at weddings. We listen to it at home. You see, that's amazing music that for generations and generations, it's there. Why can't we use that, our heritage, to create music? That's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying, and Posh, I'll give you this to react. The reason why actually this came up is because first there was this DJ Bash, and everybody said his mix haina Kenyan, and it was back and forth. But also we also saw that the politicians just concluded election. There were other people who were brought from different countries to come and entertain. Does it mean then that we don't have our own, or do we prefer the other people? I will give you the first word.
I don't think we prefer the other foreign artists. It's just that we are not given an opportunity as Kenyans. When it comes to event promoters, what they do is the biggest concerts in this country are not concerts for local artists. The biggest concerts in this country are concerts that have foreign acts as the, is it called the lead or something? Yeah, that the opening act,
the main act.
The main act is basically a foreigner. So that is what you're giving people. If you give people a concert that has the local artists, people are going to attend. You know, I give a very good example. Soulfest was extremely sold out.
Yes.
It was sold out, and it was local artists. So we can't say that people are not listening to Kenyan music and all that. But when the people who are the people who are actually making decisions about the kind of music that we need to listen in Kenya don't give the artists that platform and that chance to do that. Radio stations, they need to play Kenyan music, you see, so that people can listen to it and then now love the local music.
So we let it grow on to you.
Yes.
Interestingly, we have begun this on a very high note, and today it's just a meeting of creative minds, and we're talking about the fact that we heard that some of you do not prefer your own artists, and when we asked you on the streets, this is some of what you had said. Do you prefer a foreign artist to your own local artist? Able to remember, #new pop culture. This is pop culture on KBC channel 1. Tutafute hapo mtandaoni, bado sisi tupo na tunasipi chai. We will be right back.
Feel the excitement. Relish every moment. Get 1.5 GB at 50 bob. Valid for 3 hours. Furahia futa. Dial *544#. Make chaguo smarter na Airtel.